Hello, and welcome to English Box, and welcome to Hannover. I'm going to ramble on about the city in which I live for the next few minutes. What we've done is we've taken some pictures of Hannover in northern Germany. And we've sort of grouped them into little themes. So this lovely picture here is a picture of the das neue Rathaus, which is the town hall. Hanover has several town halls. I think Linden has one as well. And this is a great big plonking one right in the middle, and there's a little one that we'll be looking at later as well. Okay. Uh, yeah, Stadtzentrum, the city centre. Here we have the town hall. This is the new town hall, as it's called, and this is the old town hall, the picture with the green frame on the right-hand side. Above that, we can look at some old black and white, we can see some old black and white buildings in the city centre. Hanover is often criticized in Germany for being a very unattractive city. I think wrongly so. As we can see, Hanover also has some very attractive old buildings. Black and white buildings are called Fachwerkhäuser, by the way, in German. And at the bottom, with the pink frame around it, we can see the Opera House. Hanover has its own opera, which has a very good reputation, and they do some really quite fantastic things there too. Yeah. Coming to a slightly more dubious aspect of Hanover's cultural life are the strange assortment of sculptures that the city has plonked on one of the main roads going through the centre of Hanover. There is some truly hideous sculpture in Hanover, public sculpture, and I actually have to say that it leaves me with a sense of despair. The hideous bleakness of the sculpture. Of course, apart, of course, from the Niki de San Fa, which are these great big globulous, colourful things which people seem to think are worth coming to Hanover to see. I personally can't stand them. I think that they are possibly the most hideous things I've ever seen in my life. And the little picture there is the Sprengel Museum, which is actually shouldn't really be here because the Sprengel Museum is actually something quite fantastic and has an extraordinary collection of modern art and surrealist art and some really quite famous paintings. Well worth going to see the Sprengel Museum. Moving from large, slightly ridiculous public monuments to a small German institution, we have the kiosks. Kiosks are sort of like corner shops, really, if you were to compare it with the UK. And there are hundreds of them all over the place, usually on street corners, and you can buy everything there, but primarily beer and schnapps and cigarettes and chocolate. So, yeah, and there's a nice sort of assortment of different looking kiosks there and everything. Okay, although I have to say that the kiosks have started expanding, as we can see on the top left-hand side. They're actually going into bread rolls now, which I'm sure the bakers aren't very happy about. Anyway, shall we move along? Yeah, having discussed Hanover's kiosks, let us move on to Hanover's churches. Hanover has some very beautiful churches, some very unusual churches. We have, oh, I don't even know what they're all called. Yes, I do. The one on the far left-hand side is the Lutherkirche, which is in Nordstadt, and then we have the Christuskirche at the bottom, which is also in the Nordstadt. Then we have the Marktkirche on the top right-hand side, which is in the center, and then we have, I don't know what this church is called, but it's a sort of pretty sort of faux Baroque thing in a way. Looks pretty good to me. Hanover landmarks. Yeah. This actually comes under the general theme of retro-Teutonic bleakness, which is a particular specialty of mine. Yes, we have the Nord LB building, which is, in my opinion, a fantastic building, all sort of glass, and it looks like a pile of glass matchboxes, really. Another Hanover landmark as part of Hanover's skyline is the Kraftwerk, the power station in Linden, which you can see on the top right-hand side. Another very famous building at the bottom is the Hanover Anzeiger Hochhaus, which was built in the 1930s and remained standing throughout the war because the British bombers used to position themselves according to the green cupola on top of the building. I hope I've is that an English word? Who knows? Doesn't matter. Wonderful building, and also with a very interesting little cinema at the top in the cupola. And then on the bottom right-hand side, we have sort of leftover sort of fascist sort of monumental architecture. The Maschsee, which is the city lake, was part of a Nazi sort of work program, and lots of people toiled for a few years to well, dig a lake, really. And then they put this rather charming column with a naked man on top. Oh, what do you know? Hanover Nordstadt. Uh, this is the best place to live in Hanover, really. It's a toss-up between Hanover and Hanover Nordstadt and Hanover Linden. But Hanover Nordstadt is a sort of it's an old workers Stadtteil area that now has the university in it, which you can see in the top in the middle, at the top in the middle. And so you have a lot of students living here. You have a lot of sort of Turkish people and lots of people from other countries living here. It's a little bit sort of, I suppose, quite multi-ethnic, you could say, or multiculti, as they like to say here. But there are some really lovely, exciting little places. There are some great clubs. There's the Schwule Sau, the Gay Pig. There's the Sprengelgelände up at the top there, which is where our local punks live. And then that's sort of all of this sort of contrasted with this very sort of elegant sort of Herrenhäuser Garten, which is the park surrounding the two big palaces. And all in all, it makes a very charming place to live. Thank you for listening to my aimless ramblings about Hanover, and we look forward to seeing you again.